Judah here this morning. Good morning to all our listeners on radio, on the internet, and of course, I say a special welcome to the crew in the house, to our engineer or producer, to my co host, Pastor Percy. This is your host, Minette Lawrence. It is the 14th day of December 2021. I cannot believe it. We have just another couple of weeks before we are ushering out 2021 and welcoming 2022. But I do say, welcome to Jamaica. All those who are here with us for the Christmas, we know you would must have made a tremendous effort and some planning to be here while COVID is still um, uppermost in most people's minds. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Percy. I know you're wondering what's going on with the host this morning. So contemplative.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Sister Minette. How are you today?
I am good.
Yes, as I said to you, red is a dangerous color.
Oh, I don't sound the least bit dangerous this morning, so.
No, but don't. I said, don't watch your looks, with somebody like you, with what's going on in your brain, which is your greatest weapon. Um, in terms of some of the stuff we've done, just reflecting as we come to the end of the year and all of what has happened. The battlefield of the mind. The battlefield of the mind. That is so, so very important. Even as we seek to navigate and to move through everything that has happened. Yesterday, I spoke about not being afraid um, because I'm no longer a slave to fear. Why? Simply because I am a child of God. And just reflecting on the beg. Remember that discussion on prayer? And I do not beg. I ask because it is my right.
No, well, you insisted on finding out what I do, and I said I ask, but
Yes,
I was
but
content to stop at I do not beg.
you do not beg. You ask
You
you
pressed.
because you are in relationship, and it is the Father's good pleasure to give to us as His children the kingdom. And the important thing for us is to line up in terms of what He has said. And when you are in line, even I don't know what has been the request that you have sent up into the heavenlies. We just encourage you to believe in a God who answers our prayer, in a God who does exceedingly abundantly more than we can even think or imagine. So, can you imagine that a minute? Whatever you can even conceive or dream of, God says, when you ask, He will grant that to us if we are in unity with Him in terms of His purposes in the world. And His purposes in the world is about righteousness, it's about justice, it's about truth, it is about mercy. And even as we continue the dialogue in terms of all what needs to happen in our nation to cause us to grow and to thrive together as people, let us seek to get a consensus about the things that we really believe are so, so very important with us. So we continue to believe and we continue to ask and we continue to trust and we continue to expect the miraculous to happen in our country in this time. So, welcome to Jamaica and welcome to those who are visiting from overseas and who have come home for Christmas to bring cheer to their persons and their family. Good to see you, my dear sister.
Thank you.
So nice to see you, whatever is happening.
Mm.
So, what say you today?
Well, a couple of things came up yesterday, which I think we're going to revisit this morning, simply because of how, one, we need to be responsive to what is happening in the public space, and two, we have a program of our own that we are advancing systematically. Yesterday, when I spoke about, and you need to, if you listen to that clip, it is hilarious. Of the conversation yesterday, the caller who asked you about substituting the word beg for pray.
Okay. Or if I listen to it, it was
Yeah, man, you
hilarious.
need to listen to it. I
Okay.
had the producer um, hunt it, just isolate it,
Okay.
because one of the things, and I tell you, you know that I love the segment where we speak to the public, and that particular caller, I have to meet him one day.
Yeah,
I
what is his name? What we
I
should
don't
call
know.
him? The deep one? We
Well,
could give him a
I'm
name
not
and
giving him any
reflect
name.
him.
I leave that to you. I leave that to you.
Aye.
But there are some callers whose conversation and the way the mind works is just very compelling, and he's one of those. When the questions he asks and the process. So I had to listen to it again because I felt like I had missed some things, and I had enjoyed the exchange so much. But it did lead to some deeper reflection on this business of how we approached our creator, and the empowerment that individuals need to have in how they conduct their own affairs. When expressed my own views, I was very much reflecting on the Sermon on the Mount and the instructions that had been given concerning worrying. Do not worry. Do not worry about life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes?
Matthew.
hmm
Matthew.
And as we're going to take the break now, but I want to leave this in your thoughts. Um, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself.
Supplies. A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-382-528 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales for a better job.
The station that makes you feel good.
I love this station. I think it's great.
My station.
Moving.
This is my station.
Moving. Moving. Keep it right here. Keep it right here.
Fast FM. Keep listening.
We're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. We're ever ready to assist you before, during, and after a disaster. But everybody have a role to play, so make we work together and follow the plan. Whether rich or poor or where you come from, hurricanes affect everyone, so be prepared. Prevention is better than cure. Be prepared. Listen to ADPEM. A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Close a long day on a Tuesday afternoon with a great company. While you're heading home, stuck in traffic, or on your way to work. Yes! When life throws you Tuesday, turn up and let it be a True's day. And True's on the air with Tashika Lou, your one-stop, entertaining, inspiring late afternoon show with friendly conversations, song requests, positive affirmation, learn something to improve your health, and submission box when you, my listeners, share your relationship problems.
Hold on. What you just said? You're engaged this man for 5 years and I know him can't marry you? Is that prank? No, I told this.
Tuesdays from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on Best 100 FM, the station that is heard everywhere.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats. Best
Good morning and welcome back to the Morning Connection. Your hosts, Minette and Percy, are in the house. In some ways, if you haven't looked outside and you're in the Kingston area, look outside and see how overcast it is. I think
It was wet. It rained last
I
night.
think it
I was
rained
raining
all
early
night,
this morning, yeah.
and it was raining early this morning, which in itself, rain is always a blessing.
Yes, my
know,
dear. And it's going to begin to rain.
The latter rain.
Yeah.
Great.
Latter rain.
Greater than the former.
Aye.
Yeah, restoration and
And
renewal.
healing and yeah.
So, of course, we say thanks for the rain. We know for some people it means your roof gonna leak and your,
Yeah.
it's not a as evident a blessing for all persons. But picking up from where we left off, reflecting on what it is that Christ was really saying to his disciples in the Sermon on the Mount about not worrying. Certainly wasn't saying that as believers you won't have
Worry.
occasions when things are not lined up in accordance with your expectations. There will be those times when things are not exactly as you would have them or you would like them to be. And it is just a reminder that when these things are happening in your life, there is an attitude that you need to, a posture that you need to assume. And it is one where you rid yourself of anxiety. Will not happen immediately because even as you're moving through and you're analyzing the impact of various things, you will be disturbed in your spirit by how certain things are going. But stand in strength and know that ultimately the provision is there for you. In all things, there's something for you to do. It will not just sort of magically fall into your lap. You have to position yourself.
Can I?
You have to roll away the stone.
I found that interesting. When
Go
you
ahead.
find yourself pleasure in him, again I say rejoice. And then it says, do not be anxious or worried about anything, but in everything. We're talking about prayer yesterday. Every situation and circumstance, by prayer and with petition and thanksgiving, continue to make your specific requests known to God. And the thing that happens to us when we worry, we shift the focus from God to ourselves, believing that when we worry, we can add or solve the problem. He says, no, take the perspective, bring it back to me, and allow me to give you the inspiration or revelation you need in order to go through whatever you are facing at that point in time. So when Jesus was saying, seek ye the kingdom, and the kingdom really is God's way of doing and being in the world today. And we speak about kingdom principles in terms of love and humility and honor and rejoicing and righteousness and justice and mercy and faith. Cause those to be exercised in your own life and in your situation. I tell you, it changes it quickly. Just needed to say that, I've been in some situations, and you
Persons are things that go to the fundamentals of survival.
that's true.
If you are concerned about paying your bills, and now let's distinguish paying your bills from having services, because sometimes you will continue to have water, live in a house, um, drive a car, be able to put food on your table, and so on. And really, it is a matter of, in many ways, divine intervention. Your needs are being met, but you do not have the level of financial stability that you would ordinarily desire.
Hmm.
The way I live, for example, having endured so many major disruptions, not being able to practice law, um, carousel being torn down, and everybody having to kind of fend for themselves. And then, of course, COVID comes in, and whatever it is you're organizing gets disrupted. But somehow your needs are being met, and it's kind of back to Matthew 6 in the Sermon on the Mount, where the assurance is given. You are worth way more. Each individual
Yeah.
created in the image of God is worth more than the birds, the flowers. And there's that statement that if these creatures, if nature itself is kept replenished, renewed, and in good order, existing to its purpose, what say men and women?
Mhm.
In Malachi chapter 2, when the betrayal to that which occurs between a wife and a husband,
Husband. Yep.
covenant keepers
Brothers
living
keeper.
under, yes. And a lot of what we see being played out in our society reflects the dysfunction in our family.
Yeah.
It reflects our inability to keep to this. I want to make a comment about what we're seeing played out. Just take the front page, and there's no right or wrong answer, and I don't have the Observer front page with me. I guess I could bring it up online in a minute, and I'll do so. But let's take the Gleaner front page. Story in the corner, pregnant woman killed.
Hmm.
And it tracks how a woman was stalked and shot in the head, Orange Street, downtown. When did that happen? 6 p.m. on Monday. She was on her way to the bus park to meet a relative. She was shot dead. And it's just told, it's just the bald story, no commentary because, of course, fresh news investigation still ongoing. So that's it. Pregnant woman killed. Anywhere you go, this is a tragedy. You've killed one individual and the unborn child. That's it. So it's really two people. And then in the center, photo of the day, with just a note that billionaire Michael Leachin's 300 million US dollar yacht has arrived. Let's see, I'll just read it. The AHPO luxury yacht, owned by billionaire Michael Leachin, seen here, docked in Port Antonio, Portland, on Monday. The 115 meters long vessel, built in Germany and delivered in 2021, can accommodate up to 14 guests in 7 staterooms. It is one of 58 motor yachts longer than 100 meters in the world, according to the website Super Yacht. The 300 million US dollar yacht can travel at maximum speed of 20 knots. Forbes lists Leachin's net worth at US $1.3 billion. Well, I guess it used to be 1.6.
Come again?
Sorry.
1.6?
Sorry.
1.6.
Um,
I was just looking at.
and then across from it, in big bold letters, the word childish.
Mhm.
And this, and don't there are two beautiful pictures of perhaps the stateroom in it looks like a lounge with a grand piano and then a fully set table, I guess, for the 14 lucky guests. There's an
Oh, that's the yacht.
awesome chandelier from the yacht. The yacht that the pictures look like, the ballroom of a
Hotel.
in a hotel. All right, and then across from it, childish. Johnson Lambert Brown Senate spat drags on, and it quotes Senate former president of the Senate. So it is Senator Floyd Morris, who is quoted as saying that the government is likely to face major embarrassment in the future if Senator Kamina Johnson continues her protest against. It seems a bit unfair to say that Senator Lambert Brown is participating in the showdown. It seems like just a one-person tantrum by Johnson Smith, who is the leader of government business in the Senate and has on at least 6 occasions from as far back as July walked out of the Senate once Brown got up to speak. And every word of that article, well written by Kimon Francis, senior staff reporter, is worth reading. And I would read all of it for you, but that's not appropriate at this time of the morning. Suffice it to say, even a blind man can see that what Johnson Smith has continued to do is disruptive of government business. Now, please remember that government business is really our business.
Yes.
This is not their own private thing going on in their yard or, in a private members club. This is the government business, the people's business, with a significant member of the Senate, because she is the leader of government business in the Senate, choosing to walk out each time a certain individual gets up to speak. And it was so bad, says Morris, that on one occasion they couldn't there was no quorum because she walked out and several other people walk out with her.
But
In those instances, this let me quote now. Brown had risen to debate the extension of the states of public emergency and emergency amendments to the Road Traffic Act the Disabilities Act, and the Casino Gaming Act. So, is that 3? Road traffic disabilities? No, 4. 4 important issues to be debated. She left the House. Several other government senators have refused to comment on the issue, but says Morris it is disturbing and childish. He said of
Which
the
one? That's
established
Floyd
principles,
Morris.
Floyd says it is,
So I'm
yeah.
able to see her walking out.
But as I say, even a blind man
But
can
that's
tell that this has gone too far. And then he says, now, if you remember, the Attorney General had blamed a certain member of the opposition side for them failing to get the extension of the SOE done. But this is what we are being told now. That is why the government members couldn't approach the members of the opposition in the Senate for any cooperation when debate on the state of emergency legislation was taking place. And even on the day when they needed the opposition support in the state of emergency debate, she walked out on Lambert Brown, Morris recalled. He was referencing last month's failure by the government to get the single vote needed for the 2/3 majority to extend states of emergency declared in 7 police divisions 2 weeks prior.
Yeah, man.
Morris told the Gleaner that he remains baffled by Johnson Smith's infantility, arguing that the Senate is for mature minds. Morris recalled that in the recent past, Johnson Smith had begun the piloting of a bill through the upper house, but walked out when Brown rose to speak. Her own bill, you know. He said others on the government side followed. During the debate, there wasn't a quorum. I stood up and pointed out to the president of the Senate that there wasn't a quorum. Now, that was an embarrassment for the government because it has 13 members and there is a reason why it has the majority. At no time they are supposed to go below the quorum, which is 8, he said, adding that the government's business stalled at that moment. And might I remind you, anytime you hear government business, just remember people's business, our business.
Can you imagine that?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we had the lockdowns, and then it became a big thing when the funeral was held for her father.
Yes.
And it was a big thing. And I said, no, you remember the running and the scoring. And then right after, they changed the whole thing. And people are saying, what is this? And what is happening to my own mind? This is my personal thing. We are perpetuating the whole concept of 2 Jamaicans. 1 rule for me, 1 rule for you. But yet when you want something happen, you expect me to come and to join you. And there can't be any consensus around that. I wonder if we're beginning to have mercy, man.
I'm spending some time on it, and we will touch on it again
We spoke about
repeatedly throughout
unity
the morning,
yesterday.
and the power of agreement and the necessity for
it.
agreement in
Come
order for
on.
certain things to move. And here we are again at the highest place of deliberation in our country. This is the foolishness that is going on. The Senate is a very important place. That is where, so you can have all kind of political statements and things being done in the House when parliamentarians are, discussing and debating the law. But when it goes to the Senate, that is the place for deep reflection and competent review. They review and send their response back to Parliament.
Somebody needs to talk to her, man. Come on. Somebody needs to speak to her.
She needs to resign.
Yeah, she needs to step
if
aside.
if it is so painful and so difficult
For her.
to continue serving, because that's not in the people's interest to have. And now that the other question it begs is, what on earth does she do when she's offended by someone she's responsible for foreign affairs?
That's what she do.
What does she do when she's
And
offended?
she's the same minister who has, in a lot of persons' mind, even in terms, I remember the students in Cuba, up to now, they don't get the help with the packages, With COVID.
In which case, then we don't have to wonder what she does. We can examine
and
the performance in the ministry.
Even in terms of what has happened with, remember, the ship coming with the people and
Yes,
that big
yeah,
whole
yeah.
foolishness that happened.
Yeah.
No, sir.
No. And then, in all fairness, the reason that is suggested for this childish behavior on the part of our Minister of Foreign Affairs, you remember when she accused her
AJ.
predecessor in office of harassing her.
AJ
And for
Nicholson.
a time, persons were left thinking that there was some truly disgusting and improper behavior on the part of, I for one was running, agent, no, them, clearly something is wrong. I assumed his account had been hacked and used to terrorize his colleague in the House. Okay, Brown has told the Gleaner, this is Lambert Brown, that Johnson Smith's walkout began after he furnished information which he said showed that her predecessor in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, A.J. Nicholson, did not harass her earlier this year, and it repeats the allegations. So I think most people remember that Lambert Brown had disclosed some emails and exchanges which showed that it was really not belief that there had been some form of sexual harassment, which is kind of how it was playing out. Um, he says, Brown thinks she may be upset by my calling her out, but whether she's in or she's out of the chamber, I will speak. So I will fulfill my duty. It matters not, said Brown. The president of the Senate, Tom Tavares Finson, did not have any comment,
He can't
though
comment on
he
it.
did urge his colleagues to hold themselves to a better standard of debate. He didn't comment on the particular issue.
What is it? Nobody
And
can
Peter
speak to
Bunting,
her.
leader of opposition business in the Senate, did not respond to the Gleaner's request for comment. So I've just kind of faithfully read what is there. But so what you have on the front page,
Opulence.
yes,
Opulence.
yeah, what you have on the front page now, it's an image thing I'm seeing here.
Mhm.
Of course, there is the glory,
Opulence.
the fantastic yacht that our billionaire Michael Leachin, who is highly placed in so many areas of public life. He is the chairman of this, chairman of that. His name clearly. His yacht
The
is here.
princes. The
Prince of
princes.
the land, an esteemed prince of the land.
Princes.
Then
Them
you
live
have a
carefully.
princess of the land behaving like a child. Then you have the common folk killing pregnant woman.
Mhm.
And then below it is a picture of Mark Golding in a Kangol,
With his wife.
smiling, he and his wife looking quite cheerful. And the question is asked, is image everything? And the answer says, for Mark Golding, it isn't. And then there is a long discussion about Mark Golding's wardrobe having been at rebranding. They describe him as the rebranded Mark Golding.
In reference to what happened, Mr. the present Prime
and
Minister,
yes,
they were
it is
rebranded
compared
Holy.
to
Holiness.
Wholeness being transformed into Brogad.
Yay!
Brogad.
Let me tell you something.
And Mark Golding
You see,
is
to me, and this just highlights what that we really are not serious about the business of the people in this country. The suffering that is happening.
So who's the we? Because the Gleaner
the
is
leaders, the princes.
the Gleaner is a private publication.
No, but the princes, because
And
they're
they
what,
have
the fourth
chosen-
estate? The fourth estate? Or the fifth estate, whatever
No,
it is.
the
The
I think you
media-
said social media
It's
is
the fifth estate now.
right. But let's talk about this. What we see here is a representation of what the Gleaner, as a very serious, well-established media house, believes would draw our attention. And that's why I said there's no wrong or right answer to it, because art imitates life.
True.
And here, the Gleaner has curated a front page experience for us, and it says something about who we are. Who are we? What is the What is the answer to that question? Who are we? This morning, if this front page reflects what is uppermost in our mind, who are we?
Yeah.
Um,
the Gleaner
and
Observer.
it's the response is disturbing.
Yeah, yeah. But do we stand for what we represent?
All right, let's
country.
contrast now. What
So
is
the Observer says today,
You sure that's for today? Because yesterday that same lady was on the front page. Born to Lead? It says Born to Lead?
yeah. Read today's e-paper, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just after.
All right, we'll figure that out as we take the break. I got the signal from a very energetic looking producer. Look like an airplane signal, but I'll take it. All right,
Ah,
please
signal
stick
the
with
plane.
us.
Signal
Yeah,
the plane.
we're talking through some things that are important this morning.
Wow.
We'll be right back.
The Christmas season is upon us, and many persons are now busy shopping for gifts for friends, family, and co-workers. With online shopping now widespread in Jamaica, it's very important to put measures in place to protect yourself and your money online. IT manager of the Consumer Affairs Commission, Andrew Evelyn, shared some tips to help consumers do so during a recent interview with host Enthros Campbell on our discussion program Get the Facts. Here's an excerpt of that interview.
Once you use your credit card online, you are giving up that information to a third party. Now, if that third party receiving your information is not necessarily properly equipped to protect your information, then it could be leaked to hackers and your information could go out. But not just that. Right now, we are bombarded with ads and we're bombarded with email that are enticing us to do things like buy things that we don't necessarily need. And sometimes these are email that are specifically sent out to catch you, entice you. You click on a link and then you start entering your credit card information and there goes your credit card information or your personal information.
Well, tell us how we can avoid that being caught into this false advertising.
Some of the first things that we need to do is to be aware of the sort of email that are sent out and not be too gullible in clicking on offers that seem too good to be true. The other thing is, if you should go on a website that you're not familiar with, you need to ensure that it's a secured website. We tell our consumers all the time to look out for the websites that start with HTTPS. It means it's a secure website. Also, you should be mindful of not giving too much information that is not necessarily needed to do the transaction, because you could give information and then your identity is stolen. So you have to be careful of that.
What are some of those websites that don't start with HTTP?
HTTPS, yes. Now, there can be quite a number of them out there, but you should be aware that if you should go on such a website, your browser will tell you. So one of the things we ask our consumers is to ensure that you have the most latest browser installed. The other thing is to ensure that you have a good antivirus software. So we recommend AVG, which is one of the more popular antivirus software out there. And, they might ask for a small fee to upgrade it to the point where it can actually detect and tell you if a website is a good website to shop on or not. The other thing, which is probably even more important, is that shop on familiar websites, because you do have big name brand websites that offer almost anything. We know those names. And they have well-established security policy. They invest millions of dollars in their security and protection of your privacy. So we encourage people to shop on those websites.
They know. Tell us about the trends now in the marketplace as it relates to unsafe practices.
Well, I mentioned a couple of them before.
Right.
But we find that one of the big risks that are out there that persons tend to fall prey to are social media ads, especially those Instagram and Facebook ads. So they will, persons will put up an ad for a particular product. We click on it, and when you go to the website, they ask you to enter some information and enter your credit card information. Then at some point they say, we cannot process your credit card. And this is after you enter your credit card. At that point, you have lost your credit card information and you're in trouble. But guess what? If you had a credit card, has a little bit more protection. But nowadays we have those debit cards, Visa debit cards specifically, and other type brand debit cards. Once you do that, then the money is taken directly out of your account. So we encourage consumers to use credit card, because if you make a report to a bank, they have the ability to withhold payment to that vendor, which is very important.
Yes.
So try and use credit card, or try and use a third-party payment application like a PayPal, which will stand in between your credit card and a potential bad vendor.
IT Manager of the Consumer Affairs Commission, Andrew Evelyn, speaking in an interview with Enthros Campbell on the discussion program Get the Facts. Catch the full interview on our YouTube channel and don't forget to like, comment, and share.
A production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
The station that makes you feel good.
I love the station. I think it's great.
My station.
Moving.
My station.
Moving. Keep it right here. Keep it right here.
Best FM. Keep listening.
Tune in to Best 100 FM. Join me, your host, Minute Lawrence, on the Morning Connection, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Monday to Thursday. Get ready.
You're simply the best. Better than all the rest. Better than anyone. Anyone I ever met. I'm stuck on your.
A great nation deserves a great radio station. 100.5 Best FM for the good of all Jamaicans.
My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and his righteousness. Friends in Radio Land, holy greetings to you all. This is your radio pastor and friend, Reverend Simon Jones, inviting you to join me every Tuesday evening at 7:30 p.m. for the program, The Voice of Hope, as we extend hope to the hopeless in a dying world.
Live the life. Respect the music. And keep your radio locked in.
The Best 100 FM.
He's coming back.
Yes, indeed, it's redemption time with Apostle Clive Campbell, presenting a life-changing, life-challenging message to encourage, inspire, and motivate you towards your destiny. Every Tuesday night from 9:30 p.m. until 12:30 a.m. and on Saturday from 9 o'clock until 10, right here on Best 100 FM. It's redemption time.
I'm standing firm.
Vegam Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Vegam Printers, your best choice in printing.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats. Best FM.
Good morning and welcome back to the Morning Connection. I posed a question and Pastor and I are going to attempt to answer it. I went through the front page offerings from the Gleaner, and just to refresh your memory, there is a picture, the photo of the day, beautiful yacht, billionaire Michael Leachin. His yacht was seen docked in Port Antonio on Monday, and a description right down to the price tag, which, if you are curious, is $300 million US. Across from it, big headline. This is the big story.
US dollar? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking you said 30 million.
No, 300 million. Who's buying a $30 million yacht? What billionaire? What self-respecting billionaire wants a $30 million yacht?
What him going to keep? Him going
300 million US dollars for the yacht.
Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
But he's worth $1.6 billion.
1.3. That's why I was saying it is down.
What?
I took off 300 million.
So he spent 300 million US dollars to purchase a thing that can sick and run up. That can.
I know they carry 14 people.
You be planned for drive around that in the world. When everything is happening, he goes in it, so it's not on land.
Yeah, that's a new arc.
Are you behave yourself?
That's a new arc.
That's a new
it
arc.
only take 14 people.
Oh, well.
But they will be well and luxuriously accommodated.
No,
So that's the photo
sir.
of the day with two beautiful pictures from the interior of the yacht. Center of the
$300 million.
page. Yes, that's what is there. Michael Leachin. All right. Then across, Childish, Johnson, Smith, Lambert, Brown. Johnson Smith and the Lambert Brown Senate spat. Sounds like one long name, and I thought perhaps she and Lambert Brown. Anyway, their spat drags on, and there's some detail of some appalling behavior on the part of Senator Kamina Johnson in the House where our business is being conducted. So one, you have I don't know, people will say that Michael Leachin made his money somewhere else, but we know he has been in Jamaica for an awful long time now, and that NCB is the largest bank.
Their profits have been
and
going
that their
up.
profit has been oversized for a long time. I say oversized, but when you're making 19 billion and 13 billion and most of it is coming out of fees that you collect from people, I think that yacht belonged to Jamaica too. So there's that. We have that. Pregnant woman has been killed. She gets the minor headline in the corner, little narrow thing. This girl worked in a liquor store on, is it Orange Street or near in the Orange Street area? 26 years old. 2 shots to the head, dead in Jamaica. And then below that, a well-written story by Kimon Francis again. Yes, she ruled the front page this morning. Below that is Image Everything. For Mark Golding, it isn't. And this is a well-thought-through discussion on the rebranding of Mark Golding, head leader of the opposition. And it... Straight Shooter, good morning to you, sir. Straight Shooter say, good morning, hosts. That yacht can pay for itself in no time. Well, with 14 people on board, I agree with him. So, Nikisha Burchell of the PNP is quoted here as saying that Mark Golding has strived to be his authentic self, and she says he has been very clear from day one that his image must always be authentically Mark Golding. And what that means is that he has a clean heart and he's honest. I like that. That's probably the best thing I've heard concerning Mark Golding in a long time. But this talks about image. The whole thing is about, well, what we have been saying, the appearance of virtue being more important than virtue
itself.
And so there's
Very
talk about,
Machiavellian.
yes, from the PM's camp, the Prime Minister's camp, his young people, they're saying that they strive to make him appear accessible.
Appear.
That's one of the things. Well, it's all about looks
Yes,
and
they
image.
like his
and
appearance.
they said, I apologize. Said he and his team took a decision to make the then opposition leader more accessible.
So I became broke.
That's one of the things that I think perhaps have been overlooked. I think a lot of time people are led to believe it's contrived, but why I think it resonated widely is because it's authentic. That is why it has lasted that long, said Strawn. This accessibility. They took a decision to make the then opposition leader more accessible. I'm not sure what that means, if it means you put him in a spot where people can get to him. Is he naturally accessible, or have you just created a platform that gives the appearance of accessibility and handlers do the rest of the work?
Yeah, you know.
Which is what happens with a great social media presence. No one person gonna take on all of that and sit down at night parsing through these things. You have handlers who deal with your accounts.
A word comes says appearance.
Yeah.
And some says flee the very appearance of what? So leave it at that. Appearance and flee.
But the point of it is, when you look at what's on our front page, it's all about yes, image and appearance and really, one of the reasons, I'm gonna switch a little bit. One of the reasons why, when women are accused of being emotional, like when you said I use a word that was emotive.
Yes, it was an emotive word. You know that, my dear.
No, it was not emotive. It is a word that precisely
captured how you were feeling.
Precisely captured the sense of the thing.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No problem. No problem.
But one of the reasons why people denigrate emotionalism is because it is assumed that when you are emotional, reason has departed, logic has departed. You're now just running on instinct, and mind you, instinct is a great survival tool for animals, but because animals are instinctive and human are supposed to be sentient thinking beings, whenever you are relying on instinct, it is assumed that you're no longer thinking logically. Fair?
That's what they think.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's not true.
Oh, that is the point I was going to make.
It's not true. It's not true. You
That's
can
the
be
point I was going
emotive
to
and
make.
it can be very calculated.
Absolutely. So when I said to you, I chose the word deliberately.
Me know.
It was to bring into
But
the
what-
frame all those feelings that come with it. Right.
Right. And so, but whether you like it or not, it was to evoke a certain emotion.
Of course, and it.
You know, me
yeah.
understand. So, but it was a deliberate choice.
On my part.
Yes.
As it was deliberate for you to say I'm being emotive.
Yes.
Did it work? Might I ask?
I don't know.
So you just
I
do
was
it and not check if it
considering
worked?
It was, but you know, on the Observer today, we had a comment on.
What's on their front page first? Where you begin to celebrate. An application was made before the substantive hearing of the case to strike out certain parts of the claim, and the judge ruled in favor of the employers by striking out of the claim all of the declarations and relief that had to do with
Charter fundamental
with the
right.
constitutional, the alleged breaches of constitutional right or violations of constitutional right. In so doing, the claim goes forward only on the basis of the contractual relationship between the parties. Now, some of the language in the ruling, from just my quick, I've started to look at it. Some of the language is unfortunate because if you just pluck that out and quote without the context of the whole 105 pages, you may think that she was saying that there were no breaches of constitutional right.
And that's not true.
And it's being repeated in that way in various places. But she could not have been saying so because she was making it clear that she will not hear any alleged violation of constitutional rights. But employers are treating it as some kind of victory.
But Cavan Gale is saying, hold the champagne. And
Yeah.
the one is saying from Jamaica Employees Federation, hold the champagne.
But still,
Because he said he can go.
I'm not
either
even
way.
going that far with it because it's not even. I get stuck at the idea that employers are celebrating a victory over employees. How does that work? The employees make your business function. If you feel that you don't need them, then send all of them home. Not just the one or two who don't fall in line. And it's back to now the whole business of where is the heart, the respect, the covenant behind the life that we are seeking to create in this country. The day when an employer feels that he has triumphed over an employee because the employee's complaint was being dismissed or struck out by the court as not being relevant or applicable to the issue between them, I don't regard that as a day of celebration. And the truth of the matter is, regardless of the ruling on Friday, CariMed would be best served by sitting down with its employees and coming to a decision that is mutually beneficial. There is no successful path forward long term without that kind of dialogue. I don't even have to say I prophesy, or I don't even have to say I believe, or, you know, I'm confident of it.
Because but
There's
interesting.
no successful path forward in the long run for them.
Yeah, but look at it, it's a Rosa Parks moment, I believe, because one of the ladies had brought to say that her doctor said to her, "Don't take it because you're pregnant." Because you are pregnant.
Yeah.
Because you are pregnant. Since it involves a pregnant woman with a prior allergic reaction and whose doctor said she cannot take the vaccine. So it's not even an issue. I'm quoting from of choosing not to be vaccinated, but also not being able to be vaccinated and having to either pay for testing or lose your salary. Right? A challenging situation.
Yeah.
And so we have to be careful, as we seek to move towards consensus. And he often said it was improbable that that a constitution would not have been highly improbable given the far-reaching implications it would have for the society. But let me just tell people, in terms of these mandates, especially in the States, people have brought the mandatory vaccine to the courts, and they've had a stay of execution in regards to it, in terms of what is happening. The U.S. Supreme Court decided not to take on a case that was brought. This just came out yesterday in terms of the mandate, I think was in New York, filed by doctors and nurses based on their faith in terms of getting a religious exemption.
Just like with the Privy Council, sometimes they do that. The court has a discretion on what it hears. And it will hear your highest court. There's an area in which it only hears matters that are of, let's say in their case, federal significance. It will be a matter of public interest throughout the whole United States. Where you have different states exercising their discretion to do different things, and it is clear that people are still feeling their way to what works for them, the Supreme Court might stand back and let the jurisprudence develop naturally, because it is a democracy.
Okay.
And in a democracy, you allow the will of the people to come forth. You don't stifle it by ruling preemptively.
Okay.
So sometimes, there's a whole national interest consideration that is measured, and you decide, is this something that is going to be critical in the development of society, or in people being able to enjoy their rights in society, and you take a decision on whether or not you want to hear it.
Yeah, because even just a follow-up on that, some federal courts, because you know the different things, some federal courts have ruled against the mandate by Biden in terms of people being mandated vaccination. And so some people have blocked it, stopped it.
Right.
Yeah, and so I guess it's working itself
so it's working its way through the
system.
system. Right.
In regards to
Yeah.
that.
But here, and this is the concern that I had from the outset, I have a sense of how our courts move. And if an issue is of great political significance, meaning the political leadership is talking about it and expressing how they want to see things go, and making what one of our callers called it dog whistling. If there's a lot of talk which shows that government thinks that this ought to go one way, and there is no clear precedent in our jurisprudence that compels judges to rule against what government is saying. If you were to review our history on these things, the court typically goes with government.
Okay.
Typically.
Typically goes
Yes.
government. Okay.
It is a rare occasion when you would see them kind of break. Now, take NITS. When the NITS case was being heard, there was a lot of Privy Council decisions on how constitutional provisions and how fundamental rights are viewed. There were a lot of decisions from outside of Jamaica, which informed, when you read it, they're relying on a lot of cases coming from outside, which shows clearly that this is the way to move in terms of interpreting fundamental rights and freedoms, and how far government can go in violating those rights. A well-written judgment creates a roadmap on how government can do it properly.
Okay.
Because when you see, for example, we know we need a national ID system. There's no doubt about it. We must have one. Some people think we have one already, let's upgrade it. Some people say, come in with something new. But we know we're going to end up with one. There's no denying the necessity for it, both in terms of local activity and internationally when Jamaicans are to be identified abroad. So we must have one. So that's not a high risk thing. The fact that the government wanted it in a particular form and that form was wrong just means let's get it right. Do you see what I'm saying? So that is political, but it is not as contentious as this issue with the mandate, the vaccine mandate, is both political and contentious. And I think those who have gone straight to the Constitutional Court without involving employment law issues, let's see how quickly those cases get heard. I mean, look at Nzinga King and the violation of her person and rights.
Nothing yet.
Nothing
After
yet.
6 months.
After 6 months with several government agencies looking at the issue. Why do you think that is? And that's a rhetorical question. Then you look at the other issues that, touching on the same vaccine issue, that are in court or things to do with the Disaster Risk Management Act. If we were in an environment where these issues were considered urgent and important, they would have been fast-tracked through the court. You would have got some kind of decision to lend certainty and guidance to where we are. Instead, what we have, a group of people get as far as before a court with an injunction application, and an application is made to strike out parts of their claim, and that is fast-tracked. That is because the judge could have said, it's up to a judge to say, all right, I will hear them together and I'll make a decision at the end of the day that answers, can I get an injunction, please? As well as, should these claims go forward to the Constitutional Court? Instead, you get a lengthy 105-page decision telling the people that they are only employees for this issue and cannot
They're not
raise
Jamaican citizens.
and not citizens. That's what you get. And you get a very careful disclaimer to say that I am only confining myself. I know this is an important issue, but I'm not touching it. In essence, that's what you get. Now, when you are operating in the area of discretion, because the judge has the right to do all those things. I mean, I've said before that when it comes to constitutional issues, a court can always pull back from hearing it by sending you to other places first.
So she could have sent him to IDT?
If you can get the remedy anywhere else, which is why she said you can get a remedy sufficient to cover you under employment law, so don't go to constitutional law.
She tell him don't go
That's
there.
what the judgment says. The judgment says constitutional claims are not relevant to this issue because you can be covered under employment law.
Rosa Parks.
It's a Rosa Parks moment. From the time this thing began, I've said this is about people increasing their awareness
Rosa
of their
Parks.
rights and taking a decision in an empowered way to get what they want
Rosa Parks.
from the government, from the system, from the
Rosa Parks.
society that we have created.
Yeah, because even the issue with employers now saying that if you're going to employ, you have to be vaccinated. Isn't that discrimination?
It is discrimination for persons who have legitimate reasons not to be vaccinated.
Okay.
Because discrimination is about being treated in a way that is dissimilar from other persons similarly situated as you are. There's nothing wrong with you as a citizen in your house saying, I only want people of X or Y characteristics to work for me.
Okay.
The question is, if someone comes who is trained as a housekeeper, who has every other and would ordinarily have qualified for the job, and the only reason why you don't choose her is because of her religion, of maybe some gender or age-related thing, or political views, and you make it known, because a part of these things, is making it known. because you can exercise your discretion quietly and privately, and nobody knows why they don't get the job. But if that's why you'll find persons who put up signs on their place that say no rastas welcome, or it is
discrimination.
you're declaring those positions that leave you vulnerable to challenge. You can secretly say me no hire no black people, no white people, no Asian. You can have those prejudices and keep quiet about them. No one would know that this is how you have treated them. But when you make it plain, then you leave yourself open to challenge.
Come up to the break.
Yeah, we're at the time of the break. So is it time, engineer? All right, please stay with us. This is the Morning Connection. We will be right back. Straight you shooter said the ruling is garbage.
We'll be right back.
Half a tree, one and drive, half a tree. Bossy, how you do I take taxi star?
Jano, I want to tell you, say, at 2 months now, my transmission mash up, and I check everybody and can't hear nothing positive.
You hear me? You waste all that time on shop around and never call the experts. Winters Auto have them. Them have over 35 years of experience and them diagnose the problem and get back your transmission brand new. With them service excellent and efficient. Trust me, man. You hear me? Call them at 929-7040 or go to them at 106 Maxfield Avenue, Kingston 13 and talk directly to the boss. Just tell them I'm me, send you.
You big star. Yeah, man. Respect my boss.
Yeah, try and call him, cause trust me.
Winters Auto Spares and Repairs, good afternoon.
What a relief.
The station that makes you feel good.
I love the station. I think it's great.
My station.
Moving.
This is my station.
Moving. Keep it right here. Keep it right here.
Best FM. Keep listening.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales. Shop number 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-382-528 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice.
Live the life. Respect the music. And keep your radio locked in.
Best 100 FM.
Easy! Let not your hearts be troubled. Just believe in God Almighty and daily renew the mind. As we live in this time when fake is more valued than real, lies prefer the truth, the unnatural put above the natural. This is Lady Donna, aka Double D Donna, with a new song, Almighty Jah, encouraging your people to keep the faith. God will make a way. Get your copy today. It's on all digital platforms. Lady Donna Official on Instagram, Facebook, AsujaRecords.com. For bookings, Asuja Record label at Gmail. Almighty Jah! Praise him, praise him, praise. And the morning will drive it to you up. So them evil, so them lie, so them corrupt. Stealing and them planning, but we not give up. Jehovah and the one where you hold me up. In on the Father we put. Watch this. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 where the name dun, dun.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Good morning and welcome back to the Morning Connection.
They were to see us off, not on radio.
What? Oh.
The discussions that we have some of the time, but anyway.
Oh boy, we are diving deep into a consideration of who we appear to be. Certainly who we appear to be to the leaders in media. Are they ushering us into a particular direction? What we see on the front page, is it a reflection of what's in the hearts of those who curate the selection? Or is it speaking to who we are, who we truly are at the core, the authentic self, to quote from Mr. Goulding's team, who says that he wishes to demonstrate his authentic self the purity of his heart and the honesty of his intent. This is leader of the opposition. Then, on the other hand, we see words from the Prime Minister's camp saying that he is accessible and relatable. Well, I added relatable, but they did speak about being accessible. And then on the Observer's front page, we see a story that says, "Hold the champagne," and it is referring to the perceived celebratory mood that would be in the employer's camp as the court tells well-deserved employees that deserve judicial consideration of their issue, tells them that their issue can be covered completely by contract law, employment law, and that the Constitutional Court was closed to them on this occasion. I've put it that way because, in my view, the Constitutional Court should never be closed.
Should be always
Um,
open.
And
You said that all the time.
we should have a court that is 24/7 available to hear and consider citizens' grievances regarding their fundamental rights and freedoms. I'm not saying that it should be so in every society. I'm saying it should be so in my Jamaica. In the Jamaica where we are the descendants of enslaved people who cared nothing. We were under the control of owners who cared nothing about our
chattel.
fundamental rights. We were regarded as possessions, and perhaps not even the most valuable of possessions, depending on age and breeding stock. They
but-
probably had prize animals that were
Yeah, but you've
more treasured than
you've
than
consistently said that in terms of having a constitutional court which is available to the people, that we can get constitutional redress quickly.
I believe that is an important part of our next move as a country.
And I agree
That
with you.
persons whose rights don't give us no what is it, the public defender, don't give us no public defender, which is an office of the Prime Minister and is a part of the same body that oftentimes oppress. No, that's not enough. We need a constitutional court and a body of judicial minds whose sole purpose is to consider what is happening to citizens as regards our fundamental rights and freedoms. And I already see how it can be financed because we are seizing money left, right, and center under
Major
the
August.
Proceeds of Crime Acts and absolutely. We are getting money from all kinds of sources. We have abandoned money in the bank's coffers that we are constantly looking at creative ways to have access to it. There are any number of ways in which the government could provide the funding for a constitutional court and a compensation fund for constitutional redress.
You know, Minute,
Yes.
I'm in absolute agreement with you. But from where I'm sitting, it goes back to what it is that occupies your mind in terms of how you govern. Is it a people-centered democracy in terms of the people are the heart of what we do and everything that will make our people to thrive and to become all of what they need to be? Do we set up the arrangements that allows for
Inclusion,
inclusion,
mass inclusion,
in terms of
because I mean, my stab at answering that question would be, it is the appearance of virtue trumping the actuality or the reality of virtue. We appear to be people-centered because if you go to any of the websites or you see the mission statement in the offices, and it is all about trying to provide service, and we're saying all the right things because people who have been educated in putting together the appearance of things have applied their minds to it, and they've given us the output. It is there.
Like what you said, the appearance and have been doing, but they don't.
Yeah, when you go, you see, and you might meet a few persons at the levels where the training is taking place and so on, who say the right things. But you go deeper into the institutions and you look to see when they have to interface with you in the public, and no, they don't care about you. They do not care about you. Yesterday, I went to a certain establishment to conduct business, because of COVID, they don't keep people inside their building. It's a long line snaking out into the sun. And I
There's
was
no
there.
tent.
There no tent. You shade under the overhang, the eave of the building until you run out of eave space, and so it was. They had a line for senior citizens, no chairs, no accommodation. After waiting for a while, and of course, people begin to complain and quarrel, and I found myself sharing in the complaints and the quarrel too, to some extent. One lady said she would, if they don't let her in next time, what she gonna do? And I volunteered to hold her hand back while she do it. And then, well, that made her smile. But thinking about it, I said, really, of a fact, these people are heartless. The only person making money off what I was doing there was them.
Yeah.
Because I'm just carrying out something that's necessary to me. Me not make no money off of it.
But, yet they're not
But
putting
they
any-
charge a price to facilitate the business I'm bringing to them. And they have no accommodation in place for anybody who, I even said, I said, when I was in my 20s, I could stand up for 3 days if you required it.
But you can't do that
But I can't do that now. You have women there who were dressed for work, and so even in the sun hot, they're sweating, the hair going, the makeup. They, if you were pregnant and don't know it, you could lose the child just waiting in the heat. If you, I mean, there was nothing there, nothing there, and this is a large, well-established company in Jamaica on the stock exchange. Every now and then, you hear them boasting about the money they make and how big they are, and they don't care two figs about the comfort of their customers. And then talk about the gender-related issues now. Don't be over 40 and out there. Because if any menopausal thing hit you as a woman, you're in problems out there.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying we need some Rosa Parks movement. Let me tell you something.
We don't care about people.
And I observed something. I moved around the things, and you go and you notice some organizations set up tents and them have chairs outside so you can sit down while you wait, and they call you inside because they're thinking about you.
Or even a little water service you out there in the heat.
Yeah.
Anyway, a lady saw it as a business opportunity and came with her cooler and some
And
homemade
the
juice.
And she just
and
I tell you about
she was,
Jamaicans.
she was selling. But the point is, I thought about it and I said, all the things we talk about, saying we care about, it only happen when it barely happen when you're inside the door. But we've entered the gates of the premises and it was just mayhem outside. So no, it's not people-centered. It profiles itself as being people-centered. But if you really think about people and care about their comfort, you would do things a little differently.
I mean, I became security for 3 hours.
Okay, so you've had firsthand.
Yes.
Welcome, Tumblebug. Well, we have another rebranded person. To let him know, I know he's listening. Welcome on board, my brother. We release you from your commitment regarding the radio. It was admirable that you spoke up so quickly and volunteered to do it, but we're taking care of it because the gentleman called yesterday and made his enquiries, and we've given a personal commitment to get it done. But anyway, Tumblebug says, hello, now the court has spoken and you all don't accept the ruling. That's not right, because you all was happy when the workers filed the suit. Now, there again is the misunderstanding that occurs in terms of how, and if you are a conspiracy theorist, you would say that it was deliberately done in that way to give the impression that there was a rejection of the constitutional claim, when in fact the claim was not being heard at all.
And they don't understand that. You're at pains to explain that to them, because when you read it through, the lady says, I am not taking on the constitutional thing.
I say it's cowardice, and I will say that again until
cows come home.
Well, until someone explains otherwise or seek to demonstrate otherwise. I think it's cowardice to shy away from it, but she had the discretion to do so.
Oh,
I was saying to you, of course, because the Constitution says that the court can refuse to hear if you can get relief in other places. And I have elevated the discussion now to another level, namely, in a country such as ours, where slavery is still a memory. Do you know, a lady died. It was on the news. A lady died in the U.S. in Florida a few days ago, or a week or two ago, and she was being buried. And she was the granddaughter of a slave.
Okay.
She was like 90 plenty or 100 and something. I don't remember her age, but she was the granddaughter of a real slave. When I spoke with MP Mike Henry concerning reparation, he was relating to me childhood memories growing up on
his father was an overseer.
Right. So there are people
who have those kind of memories.
who have actual memories of the system. Well, I mean, I don't want to make it seem like Mike Henry is so old, but
Mike Henry is old.
Yes, but his father was an overseer during actual slavery or during like emancipated slavery.
So if Mike Henry is in his 80s and his father would have been born in 18.
Slavery.
In terms of the relics of it, because it became free in 1834, 1830.
Yeah.
So it probably could have been the thing of somebody who was close, like one generation removed from being a slave.
Okay, so my point is, we still have fresh memories. There are still people living who can talk of a time when.
Hello.
And for a society such as ours, it is necessary that we give great importance to an accessible forum for the adjudication of rights that affect our fundamental freedoms. That's my view. It is important for us.
My first job was in working in the sugar industry.
So you're one person with memories? Are you not about to say that?
But in the sense of you could
envision it.
You go on the estate and you see where the sugarcane workers live. That is why you saw a deliberate move to move them from there and give them better housing. But when you saw the conditions that the cane cutters and you said, no man.
All right. So to me, it makes it of maximum importance that our people have a place where they can go without too much pomp and pageantry to have their rights adjudicated in this time of our evolution as a nation. So when a judge gets an opportunity to speak on constitutional matters, don't shy away from it. Do not shy away from it. To me, those rights, to me, you do need a certain amount of cojones. To me, those issues are even...
But the lady is a female judge who
yes,
have cojones.
I know. You don't know any women with cojones?
Oh. What a strength of character, but they don't have cojones.
Well, I thank God that you have not met. Some have steel.
Steel in character.
Or perhaps you have met them and not recognized them.
True.
Because, of course, it's not on display physically.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee you have met a few. I believe you have met at least one. Anyway, back to the main topic. So, I think it is important for our judges to develop the maturity, the comfort level, and to have that sense of urgency in terms of looking at those issues. But in all fairness, a judge who shies away from it is not unusual. So, of course, I'm not seeking to shame the judge. Merely to say
it was in our best interest.
Merely to say that we should aim for an environment in which these things are considered of such importance that persons are excited and anxious to speak on it. And let us grow together. You may make a mistake or two, but let's grow together. Let's create a fertile ground for discussion and for review of these things. The country is hungry for it. Now, if you're going to talk about creating your own final court, whether it is a Supreme Court in Jamaica, whether it is a Supreme Court in Jamaica or it is a regional court, we have to have the willingness to speak, to let the different viewpoints contend in a judicial forum and come to a place with which we are comfortable.
Okay.
I pause.
How do you feel about judges making ruling based on what the Constitution says? They call them constitutional judges. In the States, you have the constitutionalists versus those who are using the law in terms of being progressive, in terms of trying to change the norms of society. What are your personal feelings on that? Do you understand the question I'm asking you?
I understand the subject matter, not necessarily the question. So,
but in terms of those who are strict constitutionalists versus those who says we can do this because the law says and we can interpret it.
So you have the conservatives and the liberal.
Yeah.
A conservative person will always
just interpret the Constitution
seek
for
to stay within and to avoid error by just narrowly dealing with what we have now. But people and society are constantly evolving. And so law must have the capacity to either push the change or move with the change. So when you choose a man to be a judge, you've not chosen a judge, you've chosen a man.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, man.
And so
it brings to
the
bear all of the
characteristics,
socialization, I think.
absolutely, the characteristics of the man are important. And it's why we talk about heart so much. What's in the heart? Because what's in the heart will come out in the work of his hands. So when you choose a judge, you are expecting that judge to apply all of the things that are special and unique about him in his deliberations. And where, absolutely, and where an idea can be pushed to another level, push it. Now, sometimes he may be ahead of where the society is. For example, I'm ahead of where the society is on several issues right now. When I say we should have a sitting constitutional court, it's because, in my belief, that is what the society needs to grow. It needs a place where the simplest of complaints can be given the greatest, the highest level of consideration. That's my view.
Okay.
Because if the rule of law is to abound with confidence and stir people into greater participation, then it must be evident. And the most evident display of it is a court that is truly accessible.
Okay. So therefore, let's go back in time. So what Michael Manley did in terms of some of the legislation that he brought to the table that we consider as norm, like Bastard Day again. What law was that? The
Legitimacy of Children Act.
Yeah, and then in terms of women getting
maternity pay
and that kind of thing. So that was a strong piece of progressive legislation.
Those, absolutely. But, and this is one criticism I have had of Michael Manley, I have seen the effort in borrowing. He was borrowing. Societies that had, by a course of natural progression, taken their people to the point where you were no longer morally hamstrung on issues of, the legitimacy of children. A child enters the world, and that child has rights independent of the prejudices of its parents or the society into which it is born. And that child is accorded certain rights and privileges or whatever. Other societies which he was visiting time, we would progress to that place. For me now, if you bring these advances into the system prematurely, meaning we didn't organically grow to respect those things, he brought them to us. When you bring them into a society that doesn't have the foundation of learning or understanding or gentility, because we're still barely lifting ourselves out of decayed peace and beginning to know that your face should be clean and you need to maintain. I am being crude but I'm trying to paint a picture. We don't understand it. We don't use it well. I mean, when you hear Neville says, 13% of the adult population married, it would seem that marriages don't do so well in this country, yet we have a growing population with established relationships and so on. So persons need to grow into certain things. You can train them and you can
so what
push.
you're saying is that in terms of implementing and initiating that kind of a legislation in any country, one has to be wise. One has to have God's wisdom in terms of doing it.
And you have to have a plan. Don't just bring it. It will remain on the books and nobody quite
Because we have a
use it or
plan of doing a
understand
lot
it.
of plans like
Yeah.
disabilities, regulations coming in 2022.
So you see that happening to us already. You see it, or not already. You see it continuing, where we are. Remember, we're being pushed by international forces as well. Listen, you can't get this grant or that aid unless you
Pushed
move
up.
your people. But the push needs to come both from above and below.
And when it comes from below, it is
It's more lasting.
It lasts. It's more sustainable.
Yeah.
When you put it from top, it doesn't happen. Which is why we need a Rosa Parks moment. I'm referring to
I
Rosa
know.
Parks, but also as we've been pushing for people to understand
See, you're
that
borrowing
they have the
again.
power.
You could say we need a Samuel Sharp moment,
yeah.
or a Paul Bogle moment.
Correct.
Or
That's
any
correct.
of the greats who stood up at a time when it seemed
Needed to
like
go in terms
you're
of
gonna
moving
die
side.
if you take this move.
So it's important that
Yeah.
as a people we recognize that and
So
take in
even when
kingdom
I say
business.
we need a court, that is the push from above.
Mhm.
Put something in place. From below now, people like you and me need to be ensuring that we are teaching, that we are encouraging, that we're facilitating. The legal fraternity must make itself available to help advance these causes. And you know what? The legal aid, whatever legal aid facilities we have in place should include constitutional matters, not just people who run afoul of the law in the criminal area. Sometimes, if your constitutional rights are better safeguarded, you won't end up in the criminal courts because you would have found a place to take your grievance and to get relief before it becomes something that causes you to take up arms.
Yeah, because you as an individual understanding your role and place within your society and how, because of this covenant of understanding your brother and being your brother's keeper, some of the things we do, it will not happen.
It wouldn't happen.
It wouldn't happen.
Yes.
Because you feel you're a part. But if I feel constantly that I'm a victim,
You're going to behave like a victim and
I'm gonna
begin to
strike
make
out.
your own justice.
Yeah.
That is how vigilante justice comes into being because there's where else. You got to help yourself.
Yeah, because you don't figure you get
Yeah.
justice anywhere and it takes so long.
You know, I meant to say this to you because if you need some assistance, I'm volunteering it. I heard the Justice Minister, was it the Justice Minister, speaking and saying that he wants JPs to be trained. I really shouldn't laugh. Roll back. I heard the Justice Minister